What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Andy, the Destroyer Ruiz. Andy Ruiz states that Anthony Joshua, he acknowledges him losing weight, and this is what he had to say about that. He said, well, yeah, I've seen Anthony Joshua slim down a little bit, but honestly, I don't know how that's going to affect him in the ring. He said he's seen Anthony Joshua boxing and practicing, but honestly, he doesn't think that Anthony Joshua, despite the fights that he's seen of Anthony Joshua, is a very good boxer all around. He says that he's been practicing, but it takes years to practice what he's supposed to learn in a few months, and he doesn't think that he can learn that in a few months. So Anthony Joshua says Andy Ruiz said that it's a totally different story when you're in the ring. And he said, I've been doing this since I was a child, so I know how to box properly versus someone that really can't box, in my opinion, says Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. Now, this would come off as trash talk in my book. That's what I would put it in that category, because the only thing we've really heard anything from is Andy Ruiz. We haven't heard really anything from Anthony Joshua. The things we've heard from Anthony Joshua, he's already said, and people have regurgitated it and of that nature. But the last few weeks, we haven't heard anything from Anthony Joshua. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I would say it's a good thing. Why? Because Anthony Joshua's best when he doesn't say anything. I remember this time last year when Deontay Wilder was just talking so much shit about coward and scared and ain't a true champion. He's scared to fight. They didn't want the fight. You remember that? Well, that same time when Anthony Joshua was growing a fro and a mini beard, he was training for the Povetkin fight, right? And then in that fight, he was still focused. He was still hungry. They still sold 70,000 plus at Wembley Stadium. He knocked out Povetkin in the 7th round, got him out of there, and that was another victory for AJ. But I think he's best when he doesn't say anything. He stays humble, he keeps his chin down, he trains hard, and he doesn't say much. I think that's the true nature of Anthony Joshua. I think that's the best route he could take at this point. And I think Andy Ruiz is saying what he can say because he can. He's at liberty to say whatever he feels. He is the champ. And of course, it fits the bill because he was able to do those things to Anthony Joshua in the first fight. So until the second fight starts, Andy Ruiz can talk all the shit he wants to. You see what I'm saying? He's at liberty to do so. And he's basing everything from these two, this fight, and he's bridging the second fight on everything that happened in the first. Well, obviously he slimmed down. Yes, he was honest about he doesn't know how that's going to affect him. But then my thing is, if you're talking all that shit, you better be ready to back it up. Which I think Andy Ruiz will be prepared. But will he be prepared for a focused, dedicated, knowledgeable of opponent, Anthony Joshua? That's the question you ask yourself. Despite what Andy Ruiz was doing, Andy Ruiz just got out of a fight. And then if you compare that to Anthony Joshua, when was Anthony Joshua's last fight since June 1st? When was his last fight? August. So we got August. We had September, October, November, December. That's 4 months. Then we got another 6 months. So that's 10 months, right? Or should I say 9 full months out of the ring. And then some, because of it depends. I can't remember when in September last year he fought Povetkin in Wembley Stadium. But that is rather of a layoff versus Andy Ruiz coming right out of a fight. Who do you think is in better condition? Andy Ruiz. He didn't have any wear or tear in that fight. He never been down to the canvas. So he's a tough, sturdy, chubby, quick contender, right? Now, with this fight, it's going to be a lot different because both fighters have time to prepare. So, with Andy popping this shit off, I don't think it's affecting Anthony Joshua because I'm like this. If Deontay Wilder couldn't get under Anthony Joshua's skin, I don't see Andy Ruiz doing the same thing. Because I see if he was getting under Anthony Joshua's skin, Anthony Joshua would have responded in some kind of way by now. So I think he probably heard it and brushed it off. None of this shit was mentioned in the press conference. And that's another thing I got to counterpunch to you guys real quick. I don't mind the trash talk. I don't. I know the trash talk, it creates buzz. It creates haters. It creates fans. It sells the fight. It shows the true nature of a fighter. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, people can talk shit. Floyd did it. Roy did it. Mayorga did it. Mike Tyson did it. A lot of fighters talk a bunch of shit. Muhammad Ali, sure. That sold the fight. That shows them their type of character. But at no time, the only thing that I look at Andy Ruiz and kind of shy on is the fact that if you're going to talk that shit when you're around that opponent too. If you notice, like, oh, he can't fight, he can't box, he's really not a good fighter, I'm not going over there, he's not a good fighter at all. All that he was talking, why didn't he say that shit during those press conferences? He kind of did the tail between the legs kind of thing, which, no, man, your nuts was hanging low those days you were talking that shit when you weren't around him, when you wasn't anywhere in his proximity. I just find that weird. I'm like, if you're going to be about that shit, be about that. Like, say, hey, I don't think Anthony Joshua can really fight. I would have said that in all of those press conferences in Saudi Arabia. I'd have said that at least back home. I'd have said that in Madison Square Garden. I would have said that in London. I don't think he can fight. That's why I easily outboxed him. And that's that. You know what I mean? I would have said something that I said before getting him in his face. Because that I would prove that I can say that away from him, and then he hears it, then I can say it to his face also. That's what I would have done if I was Andy Ruiz. That's my only problem. And it's not that he's trying to be the bad guy. He's just speaking his mind. If you're just speaking your mind, it might be derogatory, but at the same time, you've already said that. That already came out of your mouth. Okay? So it is what it is. I don't think that you should just change jackets when you get around that fighter. That's my only thing with Andy Ruiz. Stay the same person all the way around. That's my counterpunch on that. You guys tell me what you think about Andy Ruiz's comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.